This project called ECC, Everything Claude Code, that I want to tell you about it because I think it shows what's going on with AI agent coding at the moment. So it's a set of skills, agent, pretty much everything, the starter pack to get started with your AI agent. Now, the reason why I think it's interesting is because it has over 211,000 stars on GitHub, which is a lot. Now, when I saw this, I thought, okay, this was a thing that got really hot recently and is sort of stabilizing. But if you go and look at the GitHub stars and the history, you'll see that this thing has just been going on and on and on and on, and it just keeps growing, which is a bit unusual for a repo. Usually, that can mean a couple things. So I went digging to try to figure out what's going on behind this. So the story of this is that the guy behind it won a hackathon that was made by Anthropic all the way in September 25 last year. And then a couple months after that, he posted this Twitter thread, this shorthand guide to everything Claude Code, where he put out his skills, his workflow, his harness, subagents, how he uses MCP plugins, all of that, like how he's using Claude Code, basically. And this post blew up. You can see 4.2 million people saw it. That's what turned into the repo, where he's putting everything out just in the open. It's like, this is how I won this hackathon. Here's how I'm using Claude Code, and go for it. What I think is interesting is when you take this repo's sort of growth that I mapped here, I found a bunch of data points as well of like people posting about it online, and I just plotted all of this in a chart. And then I went and I looked at Claude's Code's ARR, like how much revenue they're getting. Now, if you put them side by side, it's pretty obvious what's happening. This repo is growing as like the adoption for AI agents, it's picking up. On this chart, by the way, you'll notice that it turns into dotted lines at some point for Claude Code because Anthropic stopped telling us exactly how much revenue they make just from Claude Code. So these are some estimates based on like what I think the ratio of their revenue is based on historical data. But anyway, this shows basically that what I think is happening is that as agentic workflow is becoming more and more common, people want a place to start. Claude Code is incredibly powerful, but also quite daunting because it's just a tool in your terminal. And people want to figure out, like, how do I use this? What are the best skills and plugins? And how do I use MCP? And what's a hook? And all of that. And this repo is basically the place where people come, and it's like, here you go, you have everything to start. You might not need everything, but it's a place for people to get started. And I think that's why this repo is just keeps on growing and is going to keep on growing. I'm really curious, are there any other resources that you found really valuable where you've seen them like explode in popularity that are helping you work with agents? Because I think these are very popular despite people, being able to ask Claude Code. I think people still want stuff like this. Let me know.